Unfiltered Life is in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, we got grown folk here. We got real men having conversations. Episode 1. Man, look at these two gentlemen right here, and I'll let them introduce themselves. If you family, you already know who these folks are. But this is part of the panel, part of the hosts that we will continue to bring to everyone to have real, meaningful conversations about things that matter to primarily our community. And I'm going to say that. That's right. We're going to say that out front, up loud. Our community, Black, brown, men of positive change, men who are leading families, leading industry, leading whatever the case, leading churches, leading organizations. And we're going to get above the line. We're going to get above the noise, right? We're fathers, we're brothers, we're uncles, we're mentors and things of that. And there's just not enough conversation with us out here in these digital streets that there needs to be more. And we're going to start it off with the Unfiltered Life. Let's go in the middle, because he got the biggest screen right in the middle. Montell, Allen, talk to us, brother. What's going on in your neck of the woods, man? You staying all right?
Oh, yeah. Blessed. Like I say, every day is a blessed day for me. Staying in Southern California, not quite the LA area where everybody sees the fires at, but just southeast of LA, not too far away from what's going on. Praying for everybody out there, making sure that hopefully everybody's safe. And I'm watching the news like everybody else. Yeah. The things that's going on, the things that's happening, the people that are involved in it. Mass shout, I know people don't maybe like to hear, but mass shout to the prisoners that are out there helping. People that are incarcerated have to be volunteer out there for the fires, helping those people try to maintain and sustain those fires. Shout out to the fire, obviously all the firefighters and first responders that are there, and people that are from other areas outside of LA County that are there to try to help and assist them in trying to contain this fire and get it put out. Man, mass shout out and love to those people, because you don't appreciate them until you need them.
Okay. First of all, you didn't already spark something right there. I shouldn't have said the word spark because we're talking about fire. But when you send the shouts out to the prisoners, nobody else can talk about that. Only person that I saw actually acknowledge that, Chris Brown sent out an Instagram saying his numbers were a little off, right? In terms of how much they're getting paid and how much they're being utilized. But he brought the situation to life, the story to life. Yeah. So shout out to Breezy on that. My God, you already started something. I love it.
Wow, man. I mean, it's true, man. As much as the people want to persecute those people because they committed a crime or because they're serving their time in jail, now you're thanking them. You're loving them now. You're showing that love, because that now they're providing a service for you to help you save your home or help save a service in LA. They need to be acknowledged. They're just as important as those other people there. And no one knows any one person's circumstances. You don't know where they came from. You don't know what their background is. You don't even know why they committed the crime or whatever they did to be in there. But they're obviously in this program being helpful to be able to help curb situations like this. So they should be acknowledged. They really should be acknowledged. And a lot of those are Black and brown. I'm not saying there's not no Caucasians working, but a lot of those men are Black and brown that's out there that's helping to put their lives on the line to help save your property, to help save your memories, to help save your livelihood, to help save your shelter. Let's give them some acknowledgement, man. Really, so big shout out to them. Big time.
Love that. Walter, you won't have to follow that. Tell the people again.
I don't know how you follow that. He don't.
But tell the folks who you are. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I don't know how you follow that. I mean, he just put a topic out there that NBC, CNN, AB's A to Z, whatever the news affiliation, they're not coming from it from that perspective. So that's something that definitely needs to continue to be speaked on. But for who I am personally, as a family member, I'm Walter Strong III. I'm from Real Men Rising YouTube channel, where we share and help encourage men to raise the standard of manhood in their life so that they can be great husbands, devoted fathers, and men of integrity in these times that are desperately needed. And so I'm just so grateful to be a part of this new beginning, this new launch of Unfiltered Life. We need to have conversations of real talk, real problems, sharing real solutions. And so I'm so grateful to be here at the lunchroom table.
Yeah, great. You at the big boy table, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna take your lunch money. So let's do this, man, because we were talking ahead of time before we started recording about these fires and just different perspectives. But the fact I'm up in Northern California, Montell down in Southern California, slightly removed from where all of the activity is. Unfortunately, My daughter is right in the middle of where it is right now because her school area, the Westwood area, the Brentwood area, just all of that is, as of this morning, under a warning. But the way that these fires are going, and I'm looking at wind patterns right now, that warning is going to turn into an evacuation go instead of set. And they got them in those categories, right? Prepare, set, and then go. And then while you coming from the East Coast, and again, I shouts out to all my East Coast family that were calling this past week saying, how close are you to your daughter? We know you're in Sacramento. No, she's 8 hours away. Now, y'all, the perspective of knowing how big California is, man. But how are you seeing? Let me ask this, Montell. Are you seeing any of the smoke yet coming down in your area? I know I'm looking at maps right now. I see you got a couple of them that are going on, but just how is it affecting you in your daily life and that kind of thing?
Yeah, for me, it's not really affecting anything at all. I mean, as far as my day-to-day life, going to work, coming back to work, grandma, seeing my kids, they're doing their thing, it hasn't been affected at all yet. We've had a few small fires that popped up, like Lake Elsinore and Emmett, but those were contained and put out right away, thankfully. It's going to affect eventually, right? LA, so close. People that live where I live frequently go to LA either for recreation or for work. So I'm expecting at some point when this is kind of, I guess when the dust settles and things start to settle in, then it'll be a drastic effect of what's going on, because like we said, buildings, people's jobs, people's homes, people's everything are gone. It's gone. And now we have to figure out a way to push a reset and start rebuilding again. I know LA's been very resilient over the years, right? LA's been, ever since the Rodney King riots, ever since they had the fires not too long, they had the big earthquake there. It's very resilient community, and they come together when it needs to be. But this is a little bit different. Like, we've always seen fires, but it's always been like in the forest. This time it's actually hitting the city and burning down houses and homes and buildings. Different. This is different, man. This is a different reaction. And I will be very interested to see how the governor maneuvers through this, how the mayor maneuvers through this, how federal funding is going to move through this, because we're getting a new president that doesn't like our governor. It's been publicly out there. So, and I know Biden signed the bill, but President Trump's administration has to fund it.
That's true.
Quite sense. So how's that funding going to trickle down? Is it going to a mass come up front? Is it going to be trickled in? How is that going to work? I don't know. We don't know how that's going to work. And then, like, FEMA's already started their process of issuing out loans, not giving anyone money, but giving them loans. This is a disaster.
We can talk about that right there too, right?
We'll touch on it. But this is remnants of what happened in New Orleans when the floods hit. Like, that can't be nowhere near ready for that at all. And it's not the crazy part of the difference is in this one is the displacement people in New Orleans were people that were below the poverty level or very affluently financially set. They were in the economic and the lower class. This one is affecting the upper middle class and upper class as of right now. So it's gonna be real interesting to see how the dynamic and the responses happen when it comes to the money, how it flows in those communities to rebuild. Because New Orleans is still decimated from the floods.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guarantee you, because we're not very popular being black and brown in some of those communities, I guarantee you it doesn't take that long to rebuild those communities in Malibu and in the hills and the Pasadena area and all that stuff. So I want to be interested to see how that kind of happens and how that trickles down in it. Because bottom line, man, keep it honestly. We the last to get it.
That's what I want to get someone like you, Walt, on the other side of the country. Again, just because you're so far removed from what's happening over here, and you hear things and you expect things again, and I don't want to say necessarily assume, but just say California, and again, you think that someone in the Northern California is pretty close to Southern. What are your expectations, or what do you, when you turn on CNN and when you turn on, like you say, the Weather Channel, and you see the blazes that are happening, and you hear names like Palisades, you hear names like Malibu, you hear names like Brentwood, stuff like that. You don't think about us, or do you? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but again, do you even think about the social aspect, or do you just think, everything's bad, because it's loss of life, loss of property, and things like that? But I guess we want to dissect it, right? And say, you know, this is affecting a lot of us as well. And how are we going to come up from this?
Right, right. I mean, watching it from the, and I've trying to just restrict it just to one channel because each news channel has their own, spin of narrative that they want to push in terms of how they want to communicate it to people because it's about the ratings. They want to dramatize it. So I try to stick to just one centralized station. And so the Weather Channel has been doing, in my opinion, an excellent job in just covering it and really from press conferences to showing you where the fires are, how the wind is affecting. One of the things that it's really been highlighted is that as these fires have been multiplying, it's getting more and more and impacting businesses. It's down there in Sunset Boulevard. They're showing you how it is progressing from one place to the other, and then it brings to mind is okay when we as a country get through this. It's not just LA and California, because the country went through it with New Orleans. The country went through it through Florida. Okay, we were all along for the ride. So you just can't say it's just you guys out there. But to Montell's point, how is this going to impact our community? What comes to mind out here is when we were dealing with the forest fires in Canada, it came out here in the Long Island, New York area to the point where the fog was so milky, you couldn't even see your hand.
Wow.
You couldn't even see your hand. That's how much fog and poor air quality is. And so as these fires continue, how long is it going to take for you to see it now from an air quality standpoint affecting Compton, affecting inner city areas? And okay, is the resources going to be there to make the same way we were there for COVID, making sure people have masks, making sure we have respirators and ventilators, when those things are needed for people who have medical conditions, like, with breathing issues? Is that stuff going to be made available? Or as you said, is it just going to be made available more for the upper and middle class, high affluent people, while those that are in Compton, I'm just using Compton is because that's my reference point in terms of one of the cities and in the inner city areas of Los Angeles and California, they're going to be without. Because to your point, Montell, when it came to New Orleans, I've watched enough documentaries on Katrina. You could see that people who were in that lower level, that where those levees were breaking and collapsing, a lot of people, they didn't have the financial wherewithal to leave, even if they wanted it to. They didn't have the ability to leave. And so when this air quality, with all these fires burning the way they are, what happens now if you have to start evacuating and moving people from the inner city? Where do they go? And how do
That's the question. That's a huge question. Where do all these, Montell, I'll let you chime in, but I'm an old man, so I start, things start. When they hit my head, I had to speak. Where do they go? And you're right. So the Palisades and the Malibus and the Santa Barbaras and all that, they got a couple of dollars out there. Right. So they can have lobbyists and they can funnel funding and they can funnel resources to get to them first. Almost kind of like COVID, with the mask and with all of the vaccine, getting stuff to them first. But again, you start talking about the Fullertons and the Encinitas and those kinds of areas in core Los Angeles. It's interesting how your reference point against someone from the East Coast is locked in on Compton. I mean, we can have that conversation too. Yeah, think about the Inglewoods and just some of those locations as well. Middle class and some affluency in there as well, but there's more diversity. When is Snoop gonna get his money, right? Or when is he gonna get his mask, right? The folks that live in those areas, and I just used him as reference because shouts out to Snoop. I saw a post, he was offering free clothes, right, to folks that were displaced and folks that were hurting from these situations. So shouts out to him for that. But I mean, man, talk Montell, talk Alan.
Another shot. The rapper, he offered to pay for some Airbnbs for people who have been displaced. I think the city of Los Angeles and Los Angeles County is very resilient. And I don't want to demean people that are going through it in Palestine or in Palestine. and Pasadena area, Hollywood Hills and all those. I don't want to demean them. My heart goes out to them for that. But this particular show is talking about us, how it affects us and how it's going to affect, some of the black and brown that are in there. And I truly believe it's just going to be a trickle down effect. I think we got to, like I said, we got to address one, putting the fire out. The next, we got to figure out how we're going to start rebuilding. And then when we start rebuilding, the people that have been displaced, where are they going to go? Where they go is where they move is to where it's not burned down, which is going to be the inner city, which is going to drive prices up, which is going to drive everything up, which is basically going to be the spark of gentrification in those areas. And now, where do those people now get displaced? It's always going to be a trickle down effect. It may level itself out after how homes start to get built and those things done, but in the meantime, in the immediate time, it's not. We're talking about the now. The now is those rich people are not going to move so far north and so far east to continue their life. You're not going to take your daughter out who's been going to this school for the last 16 years, and I'm this millionaire where I can just go buy me a condo down there. This is going to drive the price up because I have the means to be able to do that to keep us in the same similar situation.
So let me say this. So we'll bring it to sports because we talk about, all three of us talk about sports. So JJ Redick lost his house. Praise for that. He not gonna move to he not moving to Riverside. He not gonna move to
why would I think about ask yourself that question? Why would I move to Riverside when I can afford to buy a home next door and get it fixed up just like in the next neighborhood over this list? Okay. Kenobi Park and all those areas that Sherman Oaks, they're gonna price those people out. Guess what? The people in Sherman Oaks is gonna price the people out going into Los Angeles. Going into the crust of Los Angeles, the west side by Westwood and all that. Those Westwood people that were living there are going to price the people out that's next door to them. I think it's just going to be a trickle effect where Van Nuys, where it wasn't affluent, is as affluent with rich people. Guess what? It's going to be now because that's the only place that hasn't burnt down where they can go live and keep their kids and have some type of normalcy for their families to be able to stay in that same area. It's going to affect, I think, a lot of black and brown. I really do. I think the rate of homelessness is going to go up. I think if players are going to go see themselves in a whole other crisis, trying to figure all this out, on top of trying to plan for the Olympics in the next 3 years.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think 2026 when we're coming for the Olympics.
2028 is Olympics coming up.
Was it 28? But I thought there was something like it. Okay.
It's the Winter Olympics in 26. That's somewhere else.
That's right. That's right.
It's 28. So on top of planning for all that, I mean, floods of money, but now that money has to go back to building. City of Los Angeles had millions of dollars for a homeless initiative to eradicate homelessness and all that. That money's got to go now to displace people in the fire.
To rebuilding some of the don't let the Rose Bowl burn down.
That were homeless and all the people they were saying we're going to give this money to and help them get off the feet and clean up the city. That money's no longer there. It's got to go to be displaced somewhere else. There's a lot going on in LA. Everybody's concerned about the fires, and I am too. Concerned they need to put them out and do it. But there's a trickle effect that happens after that. And the models that we've seen that hasn't been very successful are the New Orleans and Dade County, Florida. Not South Beach and all that, but Dade County, Florida hasn't recovered as well. In New York, I'm pretty sure. They had a big fire in New York. No, not too long ago.
Not too long ago, yes.
I'm pretty sure the people that were in the lower income areas are still displaced. To move out to try to figure something else. We haven't had a great model to show when these things happen, how does it affect and how we can react. Everybody's, that's the concern. And you don't talk about now disenfranchised people stealing more because I don't have no more. There's really not those free programs and federal grants that went to all this stuff. That's no more there because that's who has to be allocated to this rebuild. And I'm sorry, when rich lose, they're going to get theirs back. They're not they are. It's the way it is. That class, that upper class is going to get theirs built first and done right away. Upper middle class to get there is next in line. Middle class is next in line. Poor just don't get it.
So, okay, so let's raise this conversation level a little bit. What do we, again, as positive Black men, fathers, trying to be pillars of society and things like that?
Awareness.
What's the call to action? Okay, awareness.
Awareness. Talking about this because no one talks about it. You only get this when you're in it. Oh man, I'm not getting no money from my home. The insurance is not been, I can't afford my mortgage no more. Guess what? I can't afford my rent no more. My job is gone. No, it's not everybody's going to let's put out the fire spot. There's going to be a ripple effect that's going to happen from this fire. What are we supposed to do? The first thing is knowledge. No. Power of no. If you know about it, you can better prepare yourself. When you don't know about it, like the people in New Orleans and the people in all these other places, when you don't know about it is when the shell shock comes in and now desperation kicks in, and now we don't know what happens at that point. It's still unknown in New Orleans. We don't even know. Those people all just we don't even know what happened to them. Some migrated out to Houston, some migrated to Shreveport. They moved all over the place, but some are still there. There has been no set model to help us. There's no model. It's like they'll figure it out. They'll survive. That's my perspective only. I'm not putting my narrative on anybody. My perspective. When you're in that situation and things get lost, and you're in that lower middle class or middle class, when the things like this start to happen, you get pushed out and figure out a way to survive. They'll figure it out.
We could or we don't have to, but so Walter, I'll leave it up to you. We can get political in terms of, is it going to get better or worse? And I may just be throwing salt on some wounds just to try to spark a conversation. Come in a couple of weeks when the next cat come back in that building, is it going to get better or worse? Because like we were saying, Newsom and 47, I cannot say his name, Newsom and now 47 don't get along. Even though Newsom has invited him to come down, hey, let's come tour these spots and come take a look at them, right? I don't understand how that's going to work as a positive relationship. Are we going to be better off, the marginalized communities, the folks that make only six figures in California? That's a justifiable statement, right? There's some folks that don't make $400,000, $500,000 a year that can't afford the $1.3 million average home price in Westwood. I looked it up while you were talking, right? So when this next administration, what are your thoughts on that? Are we going to be okay, or are we going to have to look for by any means necessary? Is FEMA going to help us?
Well, before I answer that question, I want to go back in terms of your original question. What do we as Black men, what is our call to action? I believe it's going to be making ourselves available to provide counseling, to be being available to be an active listener, to be able to walk people through this trauma and this pain. Because when you've gone through a hurricane, when you've gone through a superstorm Sandy, and you're out without power for over 14 to 30 days, and the gas lines are just 3 to 4, 10 blocks away from the gas station, and you have to wait in line, and based on your license plate, you can go get gas on this day, but you can't go get gas on another day. To be able to share those types of stories with individuals in terms of right now, being able to provide counseling, being able to provide the active listening to walk people through this trauma and through this pain, because pain, trauma, and loss it doesn't discriminate. It goes after every race, creed, and color. Doesn't matter your pocket, how much you got in there, if you got a few pennies of lint, or if you got a nice bank account. So I think as Black men, that has to be our approach. Being boots on the ground in the areas where we are allowed to be able to come and to be able to sit where they are. Right now we're talking about in terms of us as Black individuals, but I'm gonna pull a biblical scripture. I think one of the things that pissed off a lot of religious people in Jesus' day, like the Pharisees and the Sadducees and those who knew the law, they got pissed at Jesus because he was dealing and hanging around with sinners and publicans and tax collectors. And so that's a model for me and you to be able to, instead of just being amongst ourselves and being able to reach to the other person who doesn't look like us, doesn't sound like us, but they've gone through the same trauma, pain. Now, our house may have not been burnt down by a forest fire, but if we've experienced the house being burnt down and all your precious belongings and the things that meant the most to you, and you were able to build and move forward, you can be able to, and again, they make themselves available to want to listen to someone. You know, chances is, Montell, you're going to want to listen to me if I can say, hey, I know what it didn't happen that way, but I still know what it means to experience having everything that I felt was precious from my memories to my family generation being completely burned to the ground. Asking myself, and by saying that, that's going to catch your ear. So I think that's the starting place for us. And now, as far as President Trump is concerned, this incoming president, it doesn't surprise me him not getting along with the governor in California. He didn't get along with our former governor and Andrew Cuomo. So it's no surprise. But I would just say the governor in California, he just has to take the initiative and say, hey, look, I have to take care of my own people. I'm responsible for them. They elected me. And if you're not going to give me the help and the assistance, guess what? I'm going to rally together with other governors that are in the area that I am with. We're going to pull our resources together, and we're going to get our people through this trauma in this difficult time. Because I saw it with Andrew Cuomo, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, as he united with the governor in California, with Ned Lamont, the governor in Pennsylvania, the former governor Larry Hogan in Maryland, who was a Republican. He rallied together all these different governors to help us get through that COVID time where New York was considered one of the highest states of the infection. But yet President Trump, unfortunately, was talking about, spray a little Lysol, get a little light. We saw it. And so if that's going to be his position, like the governor of California, then I think there's a precedent that's been set that he can pull from other governors and rally the governors in his area to do it. And I think if he does that, California is going to be in a good place.
We hope so, man.
Humanity is going to be a big.
Yeah.
Humanity should be the thing. This whole humanity should be the biggest thing of this whole crisis, or this whole travesty, I should say. At some point, we got to put human beings first over dollars, right? This is my opinion. People always say different, but we got to put humanity over dollars at some point. And this is one of those issues I think we really need to step forth, just so we can help those that have been affected, help those who are about to become affected by this whole ordeal. It's funny. I know I live in a world of data, and everybody talks about predictive data and forecasting. Well, how come we can't forecast when these types of situations happen? How come we can't? This happened. Let's be able to predict it. We know this trickle down effect is going to happen. How can we alleviate it, or how can we curve it a little bit so it's not as painless, or we don't have to have so much displacement with folks? Let's coin the phrase, man. Shit rolls downhill. Let's be real. People are bottom and get it the worst. It's been that way. It's always going to be that way, and things are not going to change unless we do something to kind of be predictive. And I think this is an avenue and a platform for us to be able to, like you said, listening is going to be a key component, and passing the knowledge on the power of no. We have to be able to pass the power of no to people so they can be aware of the situation and be aware of what's coming down the pipeline so they can maneuver a little bit different. Someone told you, hey, keep eating that, you're going to catch cancer. You will change your diet so you don't eat it anymore, so you won't catch cancer. If somebody can tell you, say, hey, we know this fire just happened, they're going to put it out, eventually it's going to go away, and these are the effects that's going to happen, this trickle down is going to happen. You need to even prepare your business or your house to be ready for this, because this is really what's going to happen. This is how it happened over here, this is how it happened over there. It's probably going to happen over here. Be ready. FEMA's not going to give you those money, or that money's not going to come to you for a year from now. What you going to do for a year from now? You got to figure out where you can live for a year from now and do these things. Where you going to figure out where to get food from? How you figure out your transport? People's cars burn now. That's the only way to get back to work. How you going to move now? You got to look at public transportation. You got to do these. All those things are knowledgeable things that people need to start telling people. Us figuring out, and I'm especially passionate about ours because we, again, have the highest one of the highest homeless rates, right? Especially amongst teens and high school kids. African Americans and brown have the highest homeless rate. What happens to homeless high school kids? What happens to all the? Everybody's just made. It's chaotic. We're talking about the fires, but there's a ripple. There is a ripple effect that they're not sharing the knowledge with people so they can know, and that's the part more urgent to me. They have to get that. They have to be able to. I think that power, that sharing the power of know and what's about to come down the pipeline, eases that pain and that trauma a little bit, because now you know how to maneuver. You're more successful when you don't know how to move.
And I think also in terms of just kind of watching when I say watching, listening from different news media outlet, from the hurricanes that happened from Milton and Florence, and listening and hearing about what happened in North Carolina and how a lot of these individuals are still in tents. They're still in mobile homes. Temperatures, we're talking about temperatures of anywhere between 25 to 20 degrees outside, and you're out here up in the upper mountains where it's cold. And these hurricanes happen back in the summer, and you're still in these situations because resources are not being made available, or they, some excuses, it's where they're located at. It's difficult to get to them, but rather the excuse is they're still out in a position where they're not in their normal living. And so if I'm hearing this on the East Coast, once these fires are put out and now pardon the phrase, the smoke is cleared, these people are not going to have immediate housing 21 days from now, 3 months from now. There are still people who are still, they don't have livelihood. They can't go to jobs. There's an organization called Mercy Me, where they said, we've committed our organization to stay in Asheville, North Carolina for the next year just to provide hot meals, because they don't have the ability to even sit down and have a hot meal anymore. And so once you get past this part,
I apologize for interrupting, but let me put you in there right there. It's Saturday. God forbid something comes, hurricane, typhoon, tornado, earthquake, I don't know what you get in New York. A fire comes and knocks down your house Sunday morning. And you are going to be someone in need of, all you got is the clothes on your back. All you got is the Puma jacket you got on right now. You move everybody out of the way because your spot, your address is gone. You don't have no food. You got $20 in your back pocket, in your wallet. You got one Visa card. You got what you got on you as you rolled out. Just internalize that and imagine that. I'm asking that of you too, because I've already gone through it, because a lot of folks know, I've had property that is burned down in fire. So I know what this feels like. Unfortunately, I know what this feels like. And I'm going through kind of some post-traumatic over this. And now my baby girl is involved in this. So I can say I know how this feels. But I want to put that to you because you brought that up. Imagine if, again, tomorrow, God forbid, something happens in your spot where you lay your head at night tonight is gone tomorrow. And you are looking for the YMCA or the FEMA or whomever the agency is, Mercy Me, to get you some cornflakes in the morning. Kind of changes the mindset. Kind of changes the perspective.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Well, I'm gonna let you stew, right? Because I can see it over there. But well, let me ask you again that, man. Just asking the question. We just having fellowship. What would you do? Just arbitrarily. Again, we plan what we plan, but again, should it actually happen, we probably would do some things differently. But
what would I do? What would I do? That's a great question, because just a couple months ago, we just came close to a realization like that. I mean, the patio that you see behind me, I have the blinds closed. The whole apartment shook. The whole building in the park. First, I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's something up on the roof. I mean, everything moved. And when we got that word that we had an earthquake here in Long Island.
Y'all had an earthquake? Oh, y'all don't know what to do with yourself.
No, they did not know what to put it on YouTube. And I mean, it was just, but the experience, like I said, I've been through a hurricane. I've been through a superstorm Sandy. I've been through, nor'easters, but when the earthquake hit and I said, okay, and the thought never came to me, leave the building. It was like, do I go outside because I don't know what's going on? But then, okay, had that become a reality, what are my next steps? Certainly, number one, making sure my family is secure, getting them to the next family members that I can get. After that, assessing my resources in terms of what can I get through as far as the bank account, what money's there. Because of my connection with my relationship with my church, I know my church is there. So depending on what if they're impacted and what they can do and what they can offer and what they can't, there's family, there's church, and then thirdly, in terms of the resources of our community, that's going to be my 3 steps: family, church relationship.
You got a safe at the house?
No,
Your
I don't have
critical documents. And the only reason
Right.
I bring
So
this up again,
that's
is we
something
do.
that
Yeah.
right. That's something that as I've seen just the last couple of days of what's happening in California, knowing what's happening in North Carolina and Florida, and been through it myself, that's some of the things that I'm slowly starting to put together and making sure my critical documents are in a safe, and then having the necessary copies of those critical documents if that safe is not accessible to, so that we can continue to be able to be identified if people need to know who I am.
Real talk, brother. That's unfiltered life. Real talk. And I'm gonna say this, and then I ask Montell the same thing. Yeah, I got the safe, but I'm no angel. The safe ain't locked. It's in the back closet. It's got all the critical documents in it, but the door is wide open. I would need to get better on that. But again, those are the things, the go bags, right? Pair of underwear, pair of shoes, all your batteries charged, birth certificates, passports, all that stuff. We got all that stuff in a centralized location in the safe. And yeah, I know I need to lock the safe every night too. Montell, come on, you over there breathing hard. What about you, man?
No,
shit, your spot.
If that happened to me, and I'm gonna say it's even more critical. I mean, I would assess all the things the brother said for sure, but at the end of the day, if my family needs to eat in its desperate times, I'm going to get it by any means necessary. I'm not gonna let I will do what I have to do in order to make sure my family eats. And I don't mean that to be malicious in a way, but there's a difference between being malicious and being a criminal, somebody looking to survive.
Yeah.
People have been displaced. Their babies need diapers. They don't know where the next meal is coming from. They don't know where these things are coming from. And if I'm in that situation of desperation, I got to do what I got to do in order for my family to survive. Judge me if you really wouldn't care at that point. And I think that's a real assessment of a real thing that happened to somebody that's displaced.
That's a push come to shove thing too, right? Again, and I think we grown men, that's what we will do. We will roll.
But we're in that LA situation is a push come to shove. I don't have anything no more. Assessing all that stuff in my documents, and that's great. And yeah, you should do that. You should be proactive. You should be able to take a set. But when I don't have the church doesn't have my back. I don't have family to get to. I don't have resources. Now all I got is $20 and my baby's crying. The store's burnt down over here. Over here, I don't have nowhere to go. My car is messed up. I can't get to where I go. Traffic is messed up. Gas is messed up. I don't know what I got to do. That's a real desperate situation you're in. And you're saying for me, if I'm in that situation, I got to do to help to take care of my family. I don't mean to hurt nobody. I don't mean to do anything malicious if I don't have to, but I'm going to make sure mine's eat. I have to. At that point, it becomes survival mode. If I was in Katrina, I would be survival mode. Remember, they didn't have electricity. They had no means to spend no money. They didn't even have water. They had no place to go.
Yeah, no water that they can drink. Yeah.
If I'm in that situation, hey, desperate comes in. I'm being real with me. Please, okay, just my thoughts. So I would have to resort to whatever I have to resort to make sure there's diapers on my baby, there's food on that. My family has something to eat and my family has something to drink. Until we can get over this, till we get to a situation where then I can say, okay, now I gotta assess everything. I gotta what do I have? Can I get to the bank? Is there a bank to get to? Can I get some money? Can I rely on some people that might be able to pull me out of this to give me that? And if they can't pull me out, what am I gonna do next?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy that you mentioned the bank, because they had on KTLA, they were flashing a Chase Bank in Palisades that was just burnt down. Right. And again, so that's where a lot of folks' safe deposit boxes is. That's where a couple of your dollars of your checking and savings is as well. And that is now, they kept that on the screen for a very long time. That building is gone.
Yes. I'm looking from that perspective. Like, if I got to be in a survival perspective, really. And I would expect and don't get me wrong, I would expect other people to be the same way. So where I come to that story is, I know people are quick to judge and call these people looters and call these people criminals and all this stuff like that. But at some point, it's survival. It's not those labels, it's survival. Yeah. I'm trying to survive.
Now, again, East Coast. So I'm seeing it from the outside. And when they had the press conference 48 hours ago about people looting, and I said, wait a minute, looting? And so I asked myself, are they looting from a standpoint, from a survival standpoint? Or are they, no. Or are they, right, or they are in desperate need because what you described and shared, you're at a place where you feel like, I need to be able to provide something for me and my family to get through this horrific and terrible time. So for you to say that today, it brings clarity now in terms of what you hear over the media, because immediately you're going to think, okay, it's criminal. And 9 times out of 10, it may not be that, because of the simple fact, because the person feels like, hey, I just didn't build a relationship with the church. Let's face it. We as Black men, we're talking about us as brothers. More of our mothers, more of our daughters, more of our grandmas, our aunties, they'll be in the Baptist church. We're not going to be in the church. And so when something like this happens, if we don't build a relationship with being a part of a church, I'm not saying that you got to become a deacon. I'm not saying that you got to be able to serve as security, but you got to be in church and have a relationship. I didn't say have a relationship with the pastor because you think he wants your money, but have a relationship with God, so that way, if you need to pull on the food pantry or the missions ministry that's not trying to send everything over to Africa and Ghana, no disrespect to those places. We got mission fields here now, literally in the Palestines. Then as a Black man, you know where you can go. But if you don't build that type of relationship, then I can kind of see what you're saying from what you're saying. Hey, look, I got to do something to provide for my family. I understand.
I'll peel that back a little bit. So right now, there's 180,000 people that's displaced. What about when the church is full? There's no more room for me and my family. What about when that shelter is full? There's no more room for me and my family. What about when all those places I could turn to, whether I have a relationship with them or not, it's full. They're at capacity. There's the food, they don't have another meal to share with my family, unless because they ran out of food for them.
Okay.
Those are reality. And the only thing I can compare to what I think the fires are kind of similar to is like what happened in Katrina. I'm in a situation where everywhere I turn, there's nothing. There's no opportunity, there's no action, there's nobody to help me, there's no nothing. Okay, Montell, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? How are you gonna survive through this? And those people, remember, they typecasted the same people that were Katrina. Look at these people looting. Look at these people taking. Look at these people stealing. When does it become, look at these people trying to survive? And it's usually those titles are casted on people that look like us.
Okay.
You let a group, let's just keep it real. You let a group of white men have to break into a grocery store and take food. That same typecast has been casted on them if it happens.
Right.
These men are here, though. They got to survive. This is the only place they can do it, and we have to figure it out. The store owners even open the door for some of them to go ahead and get what they got to get because where they're at in the community. I'm saying from the original question, what would I do in my situation? And I got to survive. And those doors are all shut. And I got to become survival mode at that point. Wow. And I got to be realistic with people because other people have the same ideology as me. And survival mode has to come at some point. And I got to do it. I don't want to hurt nobody. I don't want to meet. And I hope I would never have to be in those kind of situations. Maybe it's just me taking a little bit of food here or taking a little bit of supplies that can get my family over. But at some point, I got to do what I have to do in order for my family to survive. And that's the more desperation I come from. And maybe that's just a West Coast mentality because we don't have this of livelihood that goes on the East Coast. We're probably a little bit, we raise a little.
Yes, understand.
And again, you got different intention though, right? You were actually out there for survival, protection, all of those things again that we as men stereotypically say should be doing. But the fact that them folks that are out there looting, a lot of them folks, a lot of them cats are coming from outside of the area. So and again, small subset, right? We don't want to say that's the majority of folks that are going back into those areas, because some folks actually do live there, or they got family and friends that have lived there, so they want to come check on the location. But yeah, there's a small minority of folks, and I'd say minority, just a small number of folks that are going in there looting, and those folks are the ones they do need to be locked up. They need to be. Listen, don't be out there rummaging through somebody's stuff.
But my question is, the media and the law needs to decipher that, right? You need to decipher that. Yeah, you put the narrative that we out there just look.
Me and my wife, we had this conversation this morning. What's the city? Altanita? Am I saying that right?
Altanita.
There was
something like that.
So Walt, there's a diverse community. KTLA, unfortunately, I'm gonna throw y'all under the bus. KTLA was reporting a lot about the looting, and they were filming apparently continuously about a neighborhood that they thought was being looted. Some black kids going into a house, taking out furniture, taking out TVs, taking out stuff. Come to find out, those people, that was their house. They were actually trying to retrieve their valuables, but the news media was saying, "Yo, no, we got these black kids out here looting. Look at them. We got them on camera." No, just talk to them. Figure out
that's what
really
I'm saying, man. That's the narrative they paint of us. Those people are just trying to get their last bit of value.
They're trying to get their stuff.
So that's what I'm saying. So to me, when is that narrative changing to survival instead of calling people looting and stealing? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's a bag of there's some rotten apples in every batch. There is. They do that. For me, media and police need to be able to decipher that. Like, don't paint the picture of everybody doing it. And I hate it, like you said, KTLA, paints a narrative, there's people with this black and brown skin doing it. And it's bad, man, because it gives us a bad eye for anybody who wants to do anything, that starts anything. And again, just makes us look more demonic to the masses, right? So someone like you, if you're on the East Coast and you see that, you be like, man, I can't believe people stealing. Them black people get their stuff together. I can't believe them black folks doing that.
Yeah.
That's what you would think. Right. The correction is they're actually trying to move out of their house. They're trying to get as much of that stuff insane and salvage as much as they can before their house possibly be burned down.
They trying to go get their own stuff.
It's that, and let's be real, since we're here and we unfiltered, that's the sense of racism we get in the media and amongst police.
That's what we talk
on the West Coast.
Yep.
So when people don't understand, when I come from the perspective I do sometimes, it's because we are discriminated against from police. We are discriminated against from the media. We're discriminated amongst communities that we live in. You know, we all, and me and James live in, I would say, somewhat middle-class neighborhoods, right? So we're still dealing with racial issues and things in our middle-class neighborhood in 2025.
Crazy.
Which is to me is mind-boggling. You don't judge me by my character, you judge me because I have a different tone. I got melanin in my skin. I've worked my butt off just as hard as you have just to make it here, just like all you have. I want a good education for my kids too. I want to be in those situations. I want to have all the things that I've seen on TV that I want to inspire to be. And this is one place I want to be, but yet I'm still discriminated against. Certain forms of fashion. Nobody's calling me the N-word out of my face, but underrooted racism.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good move. Put them hands on them.
But it happens to our kids. It happens to my kids' friends.
Yeah.
It happens to those. So, man, now we're going to topple disaster on top of that, right? This LA displacement. You got lack of funding or no funding. We've already had homeless crisis. We got people that can't eat. We got all these things piling up like every big city does. And they never, ever share what's the solution for the people on the bottom.
Well, I think
that's where I think that's where my frustration comes in.
To bring this plane in a little bit, but I think that's where, when the question was asked earlier, how do we help? What can we do? It is just raising awareness. It is folks that look different than what's on the major news networks having constructive conversation, which is what we doing. Yeah. We gonna get hot. We gonna have debates. We gonna call somebody something. We gonna call you out every now and then. KTLA, CNN, NBC, Fox. What right? And we gonna call ourselves out too. But again, kind of like our show Team No Sleep Montell, again, getting comfortable, having uncomfortable conversations. That's what this real talk is about, man. And then just hopefully someone will think, and hopefully folks will think and think twice, and then we'll have some action, and especially us. Action, positive action, and instead of just sitting back, and I'm not saying that's what we do, but instead of sitting back and then pointing the finger and saying, ain't nobody helping me, I can't get nothing, go out there and get it. Go out there and get it and feel like that's me. Well, yeah, the right way. Yeah,
Don't take my advice on there. I'm trying to go get it the right way, man.
you know what I'm saying. You know, y'all know what I'm saying. But this was dope for this episode. You actually brought up an idea that I wrote down for topics too. You said something about food, so I wrote down nutrition, and I think we need to probably one of these days talk about that as well. One of these weeks, but
I hear more. What about the very thing? The health of our community, the health opportunity. I mean, not only opportunities but resources we have in our community or lack thereof we have in our communities. For people, especially like we say in LA, kids with asthma, which we know that's really a big thing in the brown community. People that have allergic reaction to a lot of things. This is all going to trickle down to them. Whether you're in the fire area or in the city of Los Angeles, period, they already have a small issue there. That going to topple with this fire and all that stuff coming over there.
Not good.
I think we really need to be able to touch base on those things and see again, a call, not a call to action, but also it can't be just. I don't think it should just all be us. It should be a call to action. Like, what are you as our leaders of our city doing? What are you doing? And show me and give me some documentation or some proof that you're actually doing this. Not just going on TV saying we're going to help. No, where's the ground? What people on the ground floor or people with the boots on the street? What are we really doing? Or like you said, are you delivering inhalers? Are you delivering humidifiers? Are you doing these types of things? Where would you provide it? You could provide money for people to come out, like when counseling or counselors from other country, you'll clean the whole streets up in one day to make sure it's okay.
Yes.
But now there's no money. All of a sudden, there's no money. But police are on full force, cleaning up parks, just putting homeless people somewhere, just so you can have an aesthetic of what your city looks like when these countries come on. Now, where's that money to help these people that can't breathe and do all those things? But I will say this thing, and I'll wrap it up. Because when COVID happened, they gave every kid cable TV so they can have internet, so they can still get the schools. They do this. I'm not going to bash all of LA. I think wonderful, great things to try. And this will probably be another way they'll be resourceful. This is a different monster they got to tackle, right? They have to keep going and you do this. Well, now we have people that have no shelter, they have no home. So I want to be, like I said, I want to be vigilant and keep my mind on what's going to happen and how the mayor's going to attack it, how the governor's going to attack it, how federal funding is going to come, how FEMA's going to come. Because all these things, at the end of the day, brothers, it's going to affect where we come from, our communities, which is the Black and brown communities, of course. At some point, it's going to affect them big time. So I think we need to be very aware of what's happening.
Well, close it out, man. What do you think, man? We close out the topic, and then I'll bring it back and ask y'all to close out the session. But what you thought?
I think what comes to mind, what COVID has shown us as a nation, and what COVID showed the nation regarding the governors, primarily in the East Coast area of New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and there's some other ones. When the federal government didn't do what it was supposed to do regarding ventilators and respirators in terms of testing, creating testing sites, several of those governors pulled together, and I think they ended up sending a plane that went over to a certain country and got them the necessary supplies that were needed so that they could start building ventilators, putting in their hospitals, building different things so that because hospitals were basically filled to capacity. There's a blueprint now showing that if our government, the federal government and the president of the United States and the administration doesn't do what it's supposed to do, there's a blueprint now that the governor of California the governor of Arizona, Seattle, all those local areas, all pulling together, saying, okay, we're going to pull our resources and provide the necessary temporary housing that these misplaced people are going to need. The breathing apparatuses and ventilators, and making sure that the air quality is not so much to the point where now people can't walk the streets. It was just like that 2 years ago in the summer because of the wildfires in California, where we couldn't even go outside because of, ongoing health conditions, because you knew that you could be impacted. So there's a blueprint for the governor of California and the governors in that area to all rally together. And I believe if they do that, then even if CNN, NBC, and the rest of the alphabet soup people don't share the correct narrative, at least that's being done. And then finally, instead of attacking one another, instead of attacking the leaders, attack the issue. Because that's one of the things that I saw our former governor, Andrew Cuomo, people were busy trying to attack him. People were trying to get him to attack Trump. He was like, attack the issue. The issue is COVID. Let's attack the issue. Let's continue to keep people abreast, educated, continue to communicate on the progress, and eventually we'll get to the other side. And that blueprint is there. It's on YouTube now. You can go back and watch every one of his press conferences, despite your feelings about Andrew Cuomo and how he had to resign from office. There's documented steps on YouTube for every time he did his press conference and how he was going to bring New York from being one of the highest infected states from COVID to now having to now we're not dealing with it anymore. And I think that blueprint, that documentation is there. And I'm quite sure your governors were doing the same thing during COVID. I may have not seen it, but we were seeing YouTube videos from the governor of New Jersey. He was doing some of the same things that Governor Cuomo was doing. They were all lockstep because there was an understanding the federal government, unfortunately, for whatever reason, was not doing what it was supposed to do. And so I think about FEMA. FEMA didn't properly respond the way they needed with Katrina. Okay, it's going to be interesting to see where FEMA is with this. But even if FEMA doesn't do what it's supposed to do, as long as the governor is committed to say, we're attacking the issues. We're not attacking one another right now. We're not attacking, why wasn't the fire hydrant filled with water? We're attacking the issues. And to us as Black men, those who have, like you said, James, you've been through this. You've been through this. Now, when that person that looks like, who just has a different color and different skin, they sound different, look different, act different, and you see them devastated and say, hey, look, however I can support and help, I'm here to help. I know what it is to go through something like this, and I'm here for you. That will bring that person through that moment. You may not get them through the week, just get them through the moment. That's my final thoughts on it.
Goodness. Deacon Strong, boy. That's Deacon Strong coming through. Ooh, now you got to follow that. Come on, man. You got to follow Deacon Strong now.
That's tough to follow. Again, awareness. Well, actually, prayer first. Awareness. Like you said, be a listening ear. I think, and be empathetic to everybody's situation, regardless of what it is. Like I said, this is about humanity more so than anything else. So dollars shouldn't even matter. It should be something about, we have to take care of just because it's the issue, like you said. These are our people. And like I said, I think LA will be resilient. I think they will rebuild, but I think there is also that trickle effect that everyone needs to be aware of while this process is going through. And we need to be supportive and be there for our brothers and sisters, man, period. Man, we have to be there and share knowledge and share wisdom, share a little bit of dollars if you can, a little bit of help if you. If not, share some of your time if you can. Not those old blankets that you got in the back of your closet. Donate that, man. I'm gonna make sure my kids go through their closet and stuff they need to donate. Let's get it over there, because now that someone doesn't know the little bit I have, I want to be able to hope that they can utilize it for them to get them through this situation.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah, and you just gave me an idea. I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but I'm thinking about all of these dress shirts and old suits and stuff that I have that I know as much as I want to get back into,
Uh-oh.
just to be able to go
See,
to the no, I'm
there you
serious.
go.
To go to the cleaners and say, hey, look, I may not be able to pay you everything to get these clean, but can you work with me to get these things clean so when the opportunity comes
Yeah.
to start sending this to the West Coast or even in North Carolina and Florida, being able to sit down and talk to your local cleaning representative and say, hey, look, got a ton of clothes here that need clean. I don't have the time and the effort and energy to get them clean. So for our replay viewers, have a conversation with your local cleaners and say, hey, look, can we work out a payment plan so we can get this clean so I can get this to people? So
That's what's up. See, I was gonna make a joke just because you can't get in them 34s no more. So you gonna sit. That's what's up. Okay.
Nah, but I do believe, man, you know, because everybody don't have money, and I know, and I understand. Everybody got a little bit of something, man. If you got a little bit of something to give, this is the time to give to your neighbor, whether it be just a can, some clothes, some old shoes, old blankets, old sheets, anything you can spare at this point to give to them, because that little bit is gonna make somebody. That's gonna make somebody survive and keep us happy, make their day to help them survive through this ordeal, this situation, and give everything. I mean, the things things you think that are trash that aren't worn for some might be treasure for somebody else. That old toy is gonna be a gift for a little girl that's going through it with her family. But that shirt is gonna be something for that person to be wearing their back because they lost all their clothes. Just that kind of stuff, man. That mentality, I think, will serve our humanity a long way. Be a beautiful thing.
That's true. I'll give my half a cent, and then I don't like to be verbose. Someone told me the other day I was verbose. I think it was you, Montell. But okay.
No, I ain't use that word.
Somebody said your boy was verbose. I'm just gonna say this too, man. This is what we men of action. We men of action. Last year we talked about we gonna do something, and we gonna put a forum together of high caliber men, family men, brothers, uncles, fathers, black men, to have these types of conversations. Like conversations above the line, above the noise, to where we can at the end of the session have call to actions to where folks can actually go out there and do something, make a difference in community, make a difference in society. Walt said go out there and go to the cleaners, take the old clothes. I never even thought of that too, right? Going out there, cleaning out the closet and donating, doing things like that. We trying to be vigilant about what's going on. Specifically, we talked a lot about these fires. We got people that are involved with them, and just giving them perspective of what's really happening, the boots on the ground from a different lens, from our lens, and how we can we can mobilize and how we can take care of one another. So, I mean, that's what this is all about. Having those types of conversations, really pulling back the weeds, not holding back bars, right? Just if we got to call, like I said, we got to call somebody something. If we got to call somebody out, that's what we're going to do. So hopefully this is valuable. We're going to continue to do this. This is a great experiment that I think is going to flourish, that I think is going to do well. Unfortunately, again, the subject matter this week was about what's going on in this particular region of the world, but we got a handful. I'm looking at the topic ideas. We got a handful of stuff still to talk about, and gonna look to the community to help us build and grow this collaboration. My co-host over there, boy, look at I got Strong, and I got Alan, and I got some other cats too that's gonna be joining. We got some folks that's probably, I think, really gonna want to be involved in this, but I think that's a good thing. But I tell you, close out Team No Sleep. I tell you what, I'm gonna have, since you here, Walter, I'm gonna have you close out this one with just I don't know, you gonna have to come up with a catchphrase or something. Or whatever, it's gonna be all over the internet in about 2 hours. But just shut us down, man. You know, Unfiltered LYFE, real talk. Just bring the plane in for us.
I think the best way to bring the plane in for this first episode is you've heard some real talk about some real issues, and we've given you some real solutions. We'll see you on the next episode.
Boy, that's hot right there. We out, y'all.